I'll start as always is appropriate with an acknowledgement as well, and we've heard acknowledgements of the Wurundjeri and the Bunurong. It's strange to be here in EY's Eyrie as we think about the eagle, hawk and crow, about Bunjil and Wa. And I must say it sent a bit of a shiver up my spine about Bunurong and Wurundjeri people and those highly significant mythological ancestors. But there's nothing mythological about what's happening with the Water Stewardship Project. And I was privy to the video. I have seen it. So if there's a ghost of the National Water Commission, I'll be Margaret Pomerantz's ghost here tonight. This is about communicating collaborations, and as the Commissioner we spent a lot of time in my office thinking about how you communicate these messages broadly, narrowly, to different audiences, drawing them in, telling their stories for them, repeating those stories in ways that were digestible and accessible. And this particular video does just exactly that. We've heard about leadership, we've heard about collaborations, we've heard about monitoring, we've heard about the way in which this is all going to lead to auditing and getting to really appropriate outcomes. But I just want to say a few words about communicating those collaborations. As the Commissioner, we produced a very small report which was called the Strategic Audit, which is of course absolutely having you all on your seats riveted with interest. It was about environmental management systems, and we spent a lot of time thinking about how we would communicate that back to people and about how what they were doing was valuable. And it was valuable for the natural environment, and it was valuable in all sorts of ways that people didn't necessarily appreciate. And that's exactly what happens here. This is about environmental management systems. It's about the way we think about and guide and care for the biodiversity that we know is extraordinarily valuable, the ecosystem services we have to rely on. And we brought into our firmament, our Bunjil and Wa, we brought into that particular discussion of things business. We knew that if we brought business into the conversation about environmental management systems to do with what government departments were doing about energy, water and waste, we would be encouraging a conversation that hadn't previously been occurring. And the more I spoke to people in business, the more extraordinarily impressed I was with what was occurring. And I knew that we had an enormous gap that we had to fill, which was to have that conversation and celebrate the achievements. And what water stewardship is going to do and does do and will continue to do is celebrate those achievements of business. And I don't eat at McDonald's, but I do know that Ingham's Chickens is making really significant inroads into what I know Cecilia and everybody down there in the biosphere is concerned about, so that we connect the way that people think about their manufacturing in their factory and their waste with what's happening in the natural environment. And business in partnership with others is the way that we can do this and do this work well, competently, efficiently, effectively, and get better outcomes and co-benefits for all of us. And we knew that was important in writing that really, really small piece of work, the strategic audit. But this is big. This is bigger than what we were talking about. This is the sort of thing that links us globally. It makes people aware of the fact that when governments do step away and don't show leadership, the community will not let things go. The community will continue to be involved through their businesses, through their state governments, through their local governments, through their parks, through people who work day and night concerned about biospheres and creeks and all sorts of things that seem terribly parochial but aren't. People won't let governments walk away from it because people themselves will be saying this is important work and it's important for us and our grandchildren and the environment. And I just, as I watched the video, must say that it struck me that the story you were telling in this video about what Ingham's and everybody else down there is doing was the sort of thing that we were talking about in our strategic audits. And the conversation's the same, but we need to make sure that we communicate it and we do it effectively, and that we embrace people who are committed to change, leadership and collaborations. And that's what the video will do. So that's from Margaret. From me, good night.